Hi, Jared. It's great to have you with us today from NatureQuant. Do you want to briefly introduce yourself and your organization?
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Jared Hanley. I'm one of the co-founders at NatureQuant. Uh, and I guess just to give a brief introduction on the company, we do kind of what the name implies in that we quantify nature
Mm-hmm.
um, in a couple of different ways, both in terms of location and then also in terms of individual exposure to nature.
Awesome. Thank you for walking us through that. And then walking us to our next question. What problem or need does your organization address?
Yeah, well, again, speaking very broadly, I mean,
Hmm.
the problem as we see it is nature is incredibly complex.
Right.
And very hard to quantify. And I think that complexity makes it difficult to bring nature into many economic decisions, policy decisions, health decisions, because it's so varied and nuanced. And even just the word means different things to different people. And because of that, it's lacked quantification, and the lack of quantification has meant that it's often not measured, and therefore its benefits are underappreciated. So what we're attempting to do is quantify nature and therefore allow it to be, even in whatever crude measures we can, allow it to at least be considered as part of economic frameworks, healthcare frameworks, city design frameworks, because it now has a number that we can track and rally around and use for research and policy design.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you for clarifying that. What inspired you to start this work or join this project?
Well, I've loved nature my whole life. Spent a
Hmm.
ton of time outside, but I'm also a bit of a quant head. You know, I'm really into numbers, and
Yeah.
prior to founding this company, I did a lot of data science work and kind of used big data to understand how large markets work. And I was always struck by the value that nature's bringing all of humanity, and it's just never brought into those kind of analyses. And I felt like one of the real reasons that was occurring again is that it's just not quantified. It's very messy and hard to quantify. And so that was really the inspiration and the goal of the company is to at least start quantifying nature in a broad sense so that we can start thinking about it in terms of all these economic frameworks.
Thank you for sharing that. I think
Measure what matters. And
yeah.
in this case, we're hoping that you start measuring it will make
Mhm.
it matter more.
I mean, yeah, I think it has a personal touch.
Yeah.
Um, and lastly, how if this isn't possible, how can the community get involved or support your work again, if possible?
Yeah. Well, we are constantly running clinical trials with a lot of our data. So if they want to participate in any of those studies, they could reach out to us.
Hmm.
But I think also broadly, just spreading the messaging around a lot of our findings, in particular, how important nature exposure is for human health, which I think for people that are out in nature, often it's pretty intuitive, but it's actually something that most of society doesn't think about. Our healthcare systems often don't consider. And so spreading the word around the really profound impacts that we're finding in terms of relationships between nature and health, which will, I think, support the whole sector and then therefore support our work. More people are
Yeah,
thinking about it, trying to, solve these problems, bring nature into everyone's lives, everyone's daily lives. The better we're all going to be, and it'll definitely support what we're doing at Nature Farm.
definitely. Thank you for sharing your time and your perspective, and the amazing work the organization is doing. Um, yeah, thank you, Jared, for doing this short interview. I really appreciate your time.
Yep. No, happy to. Thanks for
Yeah,
featuring us.
of course. Thank you, Jared. I'll be in touch. Have a good day.
Okay, you too.
Thank
Take
you.
care.